just thank you for who you are. Thank you for your son, Yeshua. Thank you for your word. It's true. It's the truth in them. The truth to walk by. It gives life in many different ways, many different reasons. And it's just the way you want us to walk. By your Spirit, to show us the way to walk. Show us the way that pleases you. To change us to be more like your son, Yeshua. As we all are in this process of changing, becoming your disciples, becoming like you. We ask that you continue to help us do so. Give us hearts to hear, to understand, to do, to Shema. May you be honored and esteemed in that. We thank you for your blood, Yeshua, for what you've done. Nothing else can do what you've done. And we just have great thankfulness for you and for you, Father, for that. Name of Yeshua. Amen. Alright, so we're still on discipleship. And so it doesn't seem like it as we're going through the prophets, right? The prophets are pretty difficult. But what I am pretty optimistic is some conversations and things I'm seeing, I'm like, okay, we're moving in the right direction. And sometimes we learn through discipleship, as we talked about earlier, we just need to be with Him. We need to grow with Him. We need to get with His Word. We need to share, talk amongst one another. But really the key comes down to is, are we willing to consider everything that's said and discern through that? Because there's a chance we could be wrong. High chance, right? On many different things. But we have to discern through all these things and become more like Him. And it's just we have the heart and the humility to say, Father, if I'm wrong, show me. So I can grow. And I trust you in this. So we're still in discipleship and we're still in the prophets. So we're in Jeremiah. And the idea is we're looking at characteristics people had that are warning signs for us. Things to stay away from. This is how you are not a disciple. This is how you find out you're in the wrong group. This is how you find out where most people are going. Right? It's fair to say most people are going that because Yeshua himself says the way is wide to destruction. Right? So this is the wide path that we're talking about. We're trying to bring it, and it's like, why is it so hard to see? Because it's all around us. Why is it so hard to see? Because we see it every day. Why is it so hard to see? Because we need to grow the truth. Right? It's kind of a different way of looking at it. When you're stuck in Babylon, and you grew up in Babylon, you grew up in Egypt, that's all you know. Unless you were fortunate one or taught different at a young age, which I'm pretty sure outside of the kids in here, I don't think anybody has been. I don't think any of the adults have. So it's a blessing for the kids that they still see it, but they've been trained differently. They're brought up differently. Alright, so with that said, we're Jeremiah 44. We're going to start in verse 1.
Is it 24 or 44?
44. Hudson. Thanks. Jeremiah 44, starting verse 1. It's still on. 44. The word that came to Jeremiah concerning all the Jews who were dwelling in the land of Mitzrayim. So now you have his people in Egypt. So let me put this in context for you. Jerusalem's been destroyed. They've been overtaken. They were specifically told by Jeremiah the prophet not to go to Egypt. So what they do? They go to Egypt with Jeremiah. They take Jeremiah with them. Okay, you're coming with us. even though he said don't go there, but he goes, you're coming with us. So this is their warning. Like, you're just not doing what I told you. Who were dwelling in the land of Egypt, who were dwelling at Migdol and at Taphanes and Noph, and in the land of Pathros, saying, thus said the Lord Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, you yourselves have seen all the evil that I have brought on Jerusalem and all the cities of Judah. And see, this day they are ruined, and no one dwells in them. So he's saying, you've seen what I've done. You've seen what I've done. Because of their evil which they have done to provoke me, by going to burn incense, by serving other mighty ones, whom they did not know, they nor you nor your fathers. So they're worshiping other false gods. They didn't know them, their fathers didn't know them, they're just there. They're like, what are you doing? He's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And so we see that they've seen, basically I would say, the anger of the wrath of Yah on them, and they still refuse to turn to do what's right. So they had Jeremiah telling them exactly what's happened, exactly what to do, but they don't turn. They don't shema. So now we need to make sure we're in a position when you see things go wrong, you see his, like, alright, he's causing some problems over here, over there, and you're like part of it, then you stay away from it. You don't go back to it. You don't try another form of it. You just stay away from it. You got to stay away from it. And part of that is recognizing it. And sometimes that's called prophets, spelling it out for you. And that's what these prophets are doing. These prophets are relevant to today. We just have a different version of it. What I mean by a different version of it, looks a little different than what it did back then. It's still going to be the same ideas, but it's going to just present a little differently because society's a lot different than thousands of years ago. But it's the same thing. So it's inheriting the lives of the fathers, right? Idolatry here. They inherited the lives of the fathers. And they refuse to turn from those. In this case, they talk about idolatry. Verse 4, and I sent to you all my servants and prophets, rising early and sending them, saying, please do not do this abominable matter that I hate. So now you see where the prophets come in. So I'm going to take a little tangent here, talk about prophets just for a little bit. We're going to touch on them much more later. But this is a prophet. This is what they do. The prophet is telling them, a true prophet is telling them, do not do that, turn away. Turn to truth. Anything else? Nope. A true prophet. I'm not talking about prophecy, someone who's prophesying. I'm talking about a prophet. There's a lot of them that call themselves prophets out there. And they say, oh yeah, this country's fine, it's doing great, it's going to be blessed. Oh, the world's going to be great, it's going to be blessed. We know that's not true, we have the book. So a false prophet can be a true prophet, or it can be someone teaching poorly. Really poorly. So to kind of support these statements, let's go to Lamentations. Lamentations is after Jerusalem falls, and someone's writing about it. Lamentations 2. I'm just going to pick out a few verses here. We're not going to stay here long. But Lamentations, the word is ikah in Hebrew, and it means how. So actually Lamentations, it's like, at least the English on it, is E-K-A-H, which means how. Like it could be with an exclamation point or kind of a question, like, and it's the first word of Lamentations. How alone she sits, right? So you're kind of like, the question is, how did this happen? What is going on here? Why is Jerusalem a ruin? So Lamentations 2 verse 14. So we just read what it just said about the prophets. Here, we're going to get a little bit more insight. Your prophets have seen falsehood and folly for you, and have not shown you your crookedness. They have not shown you where you're going wrong. They have not shown you the crookedness. To turn back your captivity, but their visions for you are false and misleading messages. So they're saying that, yeah, they're having these visions and dreams, and they're telling these things, but they're not ever pointing out what's wrong. They're not pointing out the crookedness. That's where I think a lot of prophecy in this day and age goes wrong. How often do you know why? Because it doesn't make money. Who wants to hear what's going wrong? No one. But actually we all should want to hear so we can change. So that tells us not many of us really want to change. We like what we do. We like the pig pen we're living in. We don't want to change. We have a heart to change. We have a heart to receive. So you can see what's going on here. And so as I was talking about earlier, we just see a different version of that today. Right? Everything's great and grand and wonderful. He is going to edify. He will edify. I'm not saying he won't. But a true prophet is going to tell you some things that you don't want to hear. And he's not going to shove it down your throat. He's going to say it. Here it is. All right. Let's go to Lamentations 4:13. 4:13. It was because of the sins of her prophets, right? The crookedness of her priests, who shed in her midst the blood of the righteous. Right? So there you go. You see the problem. The prophets, the priests, or the teachers, people who are supposed to be guiding everything. The leaders have it wrong. The prophets have it wrong. The priests have it wrong. They're shedding innocent blood. But you know what? Although it's the leader's fault, everybody else pays for it. Jerusalem was gone. They were still doing sin. It was the leader's fault, right? Now, there were people that Jeremiah had the heart to turn, right? But him and his, I don't know, I'll use probably the wrong word, but scribe, the person that was writing for him, I don't remember his name, his companion.
Jeremiah.
Who was his name?
Jeremiah's?
Yes.
Baruch.
Yeah, Baruch. He was hanging out, he was very faithful, and he actually got blessed for it, too, if I remember correctly. So, but there's very few people. There's one person that was hanging out with Jeremiah. It's all because Jeremiah was saying things that people didn't think were going to happen. There's no way this is going to happen to such a wonderful city of Jerusalem. And I hear people say they go visit these big cities. These cities are wonderful. It has everything you need. There's everything you want, right? Okay. Let's go back to Jeremiah. But I hope you see the point here, right? So if Father's saying, I'm sending you prophets, they're telling you truth. And I think it's over time too, not just, because he sent a lot of prophets over time. And then we see the false prophets, and you can go to other sections of the Bible and see how there's numerous false prophets, and usually one or two that are true, speaking truth. And they're usually the outcasts. People don't want to hear from them. You just go away, go over there. We don't talk to you. We don't hear what you have to say. You never say anything good. Okay, verse 5. But they did not listen or incline their ears to turn from their evil, not to burn incense to other mighty ones, right? So what's their idolatry? So it's like burning incense to their mighty ones. Well, what's your mighty one? What's my mighty one? What do we put before the Father? Right? We don't have to literally burn incense. What are we putting before the Father? What are we putting before our walk? Right? Idolatry. So my wrath and my displeasure were poured out and burned in the cities of Judah and the streets of Jerusalem, and they came and became a ruin and a wasteland as it is this day. And now thus said Yahweh, the Elohim of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, Why are you doing this great evil against your lives, to cut off from you man and woman, child and infant, from the midst of Judah, leaving none to remain? By provoking me with the works of your hands, by burning incense to other mighty ones in the land of Mitzrayim, Egypt, where you have gone to sojourn, to cut yourselves off, and to be a curse and a reproach among all the nations of the earth. So he's like, you've gone there and you're still doing all this idolatry, and you're just a reproach to the whole earth now. Have you forgotten the evils of your fathers, and the evils of the sovereigns of Yehuda, and the evils of their wives, and your own evils, and the evils of your wives which you have done in the land of Yehuda and in the streets of Jerusalem? To this day they have not been humbled. You have not been humbled, or you have not been humble enough, right? You can say, am I humble enough? Nor have they feared, nor have they walked in my Torah and in my laws that I set before you and your fathers. Therefore, thus said Yahweh of hosts, Elohim of Israel, see, I'm setting my face against you for evil and for cutting off all Yehudah. So you can see, verse 10 is kind of like it right there. It says, they have not been humbled. So sometimes we have to be humbled. Sometimes we need to humble ourselves to understand what's wrong, to see the idolatry, to see the sin. Are we ever going to be perfect? No. But we need to grow out of things. Nor have they feared. Is there a fear of God? Is there a fear in us? And that fear is, yeah, I want to do what you say. I want to do what you want me to do. I trust you. I don't know what I'm doing, but I trust you. I'm just going to follow your commands. Nor have they walked in my Torah. Right? So they just haven't walked in his instructions. So if you have the fear, you'll walk in his instructions. If you're humble, you're going to walk in his instructions. Now I'm going to skip to verse 23. 23. Because you have burned incense, and because you have sinned against Yahweh, and you did not obey the voice of Yahweh, or walk in his Torah, in his laws, or in his witnesses, therefore this evil did befall you, as at this day. And Yirmiyahu, so Jeremiah said to all the people and all the women, hear the word of Yahweh, all Yehuda who are in the land of Mitzrayim. Thus spoke Yahweh of hosts, Elohim of Israel, saying, you and your wives have spoken with your mouth, and have filled with your hands, saying, we shall perform our vows that we have made to burn incense to the sovereigness of the heavens, and pour out our drink offerings to her, then confirm your vows and perform your vows. That's actually interesting. I didn't pick up on that until just now. This fourth portion that we're talking about vows. He's saying, if you're going to do it, just do it. I'm done with you. Alright, if you're going to do it, say it, and worship your sovereignness. Otherwise, turn. Turn to me. And it's because it ultimately comes down to we didn't obey the voice, walking in the instructions that he's given to us. So we know the instructions, we have the Torah. This is where the Spirit comes in to guide us. Father, where am I going to miss? Where am I going to miss? Please show me. And in this day and age, I would argue we have more than than anybody's ever had before. We have scriptures, we have translations, we have many translations. If we don't understand the Hebrew word, we look it up, we dive into it. And that's just the human fleshly side, because even greater than that, we have the Spirit. And to quench that spirit about becoming a disciple is very tragic. It's very tragic. To be given the Spirit, be in this group 2,000 years, and to quench the Spirit and not choose to become a disciple because you enjoyed something more than the Father, or trying to do something more on your own, not follow his ways, not following his instructions, is tragic. Alright, this is discipleship, right? As we talked about, are we counting the costs? It's like the weirdest conversation to have about discipleship, right? I think it is. It's like why we're learning from the prophets what not to do, so you can be a disciple. All right, Jeremiah 9. Jeremiah 9, starting in verse 1. And so we're kind of picking up in the midst here. So, but I think it's become clear pretty quick. Oh, that my head were waters, and my eyes a fountain of tears, and I would weep day and night for the slain of the daughter of my people. Oh, that I had in the wilderness a lodging place for the wayfaring men, and I would leave my people and go from them. For they are all adulterers, the assembly of treacherous men. Adultery, right? If I'm spiritually, you're idolatry again, right? We're back to idolatry in a way. You're putting something, you're committing adultery against the Father and His commands, and what He's doing, what He instructs you. An assembly of treacherous men. And they bend their tongue like a bow. So your tongue is now a weapon. And James talks about that. It starts a mighty blaze. The tongue starts a mighty blaze. So here we see the same idea. And they bend their tongue like a bow. Falsehood and not truth prevails on the earth. For they proceed from evil to evil, and they have not known me, declares Yahweh. So they're speaking falsehood. There's no truth. They go from one evil to the next evil. And they've not known me. Well, how do you not? We talked before, like, well, the worst thing is that when He doesn't know you, but how do you get to know Him? It's by walking in His ways. You walk in His ways. You pray, you seek Him. Through those two ways, you're going to know Him. Through the prayer and spirit, He's going to show you something, and you test it with the scriptures, the truth. And when you do that, you're going to learn to know Him more and more. It's just a matter of, are we willing to turn from what we think is right, even though it's wrong? Let everyone beware of his neighbor, not trust any brother. For every brother catches by the heel, and every neighbor walks with slanderers. Man, right? How bad can life be? You don't trust your brother. And everyone deceives his neighbor. No one speaks the truth. They have taught their tongue to speak falsehood and have wearied themselves to crook. So no one's talking truth. No one's talking even like Torah, but no one's even just being point blank honest and frank with people. You live in the midst of deceit. Through deceit, they have refused to know me, declares Yahweh. So you're just living in deceit. And through that, they just don't want to know Him. Right? And so we're I didn't really pick up on this, but we get into those false prophets idea, right? Deceit is everywhere. It'll be a prophet or a teacher, right? Deceit's everywhere. But then He says through all that, they still don't want to know Him. Still don't want to know. Especially, and I say they, what I really mean is me, myself, and I. Right? That's the discipleship part. Is these comments, I make these broad comments, right? The discipleship part is what does the Spirit stick with you today? And then you go and meditate on it. Father, is there something here that I need to learn, need to grow in, need to change? That's the discipleship aspect. All these scriptures aren't going to be necessarily for you. We're going to pick up some things, but is there something that's really like sticking with you? Why can I not stop thinking about this? It's one of those moments. Verse 7. Therefore, thus said Yahweh of hosts, see, I shall refine them and shall try them. What shall I do because of the daughter of my people? Their tongue is a slain arrow, right? The tongue is a slain arrow. Back to that idea, the tongue starts a fire, a massive fire, and so now it's also a weapon here. It's an arrow. It's going to slay. It speaks deceit. And so here's how it's an arrow. It speaks deceit. It speaks peacefully to his neighbor with his mouth, but in his heart he sets his ambush. Right? Now, did you catch that? That's key. So with your mouth, it's fine. We're good. No problems. But in your heart, you're figuring out how to bring it down. You're figuring out how to get on top. You're figuring out how to one up them. You're figuring out whatever it may be. I don't know, right? And that's I read that and I was like, oh man, that's tough. Like for me personally, I'm always like, yeah, great, we're doing good. I don't think I ever have the intent to bring someone down, but we have to be careful. Is there anything in your heart where you don't really where you say you wish them the best, but there's something in your heart maybe you don't quite wish them the best? This is tough stuff. Would I punish them for this, declares Yahweh? Would I not avenge my being on such a nation as this? Verse 10, I shall take up a weeping and wailing for the mountains, and for the pastures of the wilderness a lamentation, because they have been burned up without any passing over, nor has the voice of cattle been heard. Both the birds of the heavens and the beasts that have fled, they have gone. And I shall make Jerusalem a heap, a ruins, a habitation for jackals, and the cities of Yehuda I shall make a waste without inhabitant. So the context is we're before the judgment now. We started after, now we jump to context here. Who is the wise man that he understands this? Oh wow, right? That's a question. Who is the wise man that understands this? Clearly there's none. There's none. Where they would change. Jeremiah and Baruch. Two people. Now, he did save a remnant, don't get me wrong. And there may have been more, but from what you can pretty much glean from the scriptures, there were two people that were really much okay. So you don't really know how many others, but I'm guessing there's others, but not many. So who's the wise man that he understands this? And to whom has the mouth of Yahweh spoken that he declares it? Why has the land perished? Has it been burned up like a wilderness with none passing through? And Yahweh says, because they have forsaken my Torah, which I set before them, and have not obeyed my voice, or walked according to it, but they have walked according to the stubbornness of their own heart, and after the Baals which their fathers had taught them. So again, going back to the basics. Things should always come back to the basics. Forsaking the instructions, forsaking the commands, and falling back into the trap of the false teaching of your fathers. Right? So it's like, you've been taught this, and the teachings of your fathers that you've learned, those are hard things to put behind you. There really are hard things to put behind you, because that's what you know. The key is don't fall back into those. And it's not easy. That's where we need people around us. Alright, I'm going to skip to where am I at? Verse 23. Thus said Yahweh, let not the wise boast in his wisdom, right? Let not the mighty boast in his might, nor let the rich boast in his riches, but let him who boast of this, that he understands and knows me, that I am Yahweh, doing loving commitment, right ruling, and righteousness in the earth, for in these I delight, declares Yahweh. So don't be boasters, right? Boasting either about wisdom or about riches or about anything. Don't be boasters. If you're going to boast that he understands and knows me, Father. If you're going to boast in anything, that's the only thing you should boast in, is that you know him. And he's the one doing loving commitment, right ruling, and righteousness in the earth. And those are the things he delights in, and those are the things he wants us to do. See, the days are coming, declares Yahweh, when I shall punish all circumcised with the uncircumcised. Mizraim and Yehuda and Edom and the children of Ammon and Moab and all those trimmed on the edges who dwell in the wilderness. For all the nations are uncircumcised, and all the houses of Israel are uncircumcised in heart. Right? So, it's always, even toward circumcision of the heart. Is your heart there? So it's not just a heart matter, it's a heart with the Shema, the doing. Right here, they just don't have a heart to do it. They don't have the heart to turn. Maybe you have the heart to do it, but you just don't want to do it. You be like, all right, you're really getting me to do this, or like, this is really heavy on me, but there's still something of you that doesn't want to do it. I've been in those positions like, I really think you want me to be doing this, but I'm really hesitant to do it. That's not a good place to be. I've done that. And you're just like, I know I need to be doing that, but for what reason, don't. All right, Jeremiah 17. Yeah, these are hard. This is hard stuff, and my first fleshly instinct is to apologize, but really, what I should be saying is you're welcome, because we need to hear this. It's not easy, but we need to hear it. And I'm not here to tickle anybody's ears. I don't want mine tickled. And so I don't want to tickle anybody's ears. I'm not about that. I also want to present it in a manner that's, all right, this is what it is. We're growing in it. We're growing in it. So don't condemn yourself. Right? There's a balance here. Don't condemn yourself. Understand growth is needed, but don't brush it to the side. Jeremiah 17. The sin of Yehuda is written with a pen of iron, engraved with the point of a diamond, on the tablet of their heart, and on the horns of your slaughter places. While their children remember their slaughter places and their ashram by the spreading trees on the high hills, my mountain in the field, I give as plunder your wealth, all your treasures, your high places of sin throughout all your borders. And you, even of yourself, shall let go of your inheritance which I gave you. And I shall make you serve your enemies in a land which you have not known, for you have kindled a fire in my displeasure which burns forever. He's predicting the dispersion, right? I want to send you places where, this is Judah too, but I want to send you places where you don't want to be. Thus said Yahweh, cursed is the man who trusts in man and makes flesh his arm, and whose heart turns away from Yahweh. Cursed is the man who trusts in himself. That's also a tough one to get over, because it's you getting over yourself and thinking you can do it, right? When actually the reality is, Father, I can't do this. I can't do this, and you need to plead in that manner. I can't do this. How much are you going to push in? How hard are you going to push in? There's no limits of pushing in. Do we really not think he's going to answer when we say, I can't do this, and you know he wants you to do it? You know he wants you to do it. You're like, I don't see the possibility. I trust you, because what else do I have? That's where we have to be. In mind and heart, in action. You got to be certain that you're certain that you're certain that he wants you to do it. And then certain on top of that. Right? But he'll make it clear to you when he wants you to do it. The doors will just open. And you're like, really? That door? Are you sure? Didn't mean that one over there? Verse 6, for he shall be like a shrub in the desert, and not see when good comes, and shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, a salt land that is not inhabited. Blessed is the man who trusts in Yahweh, and whose trust is Yahweh. Blessed is the man who trusts in Yahweh, whose trust is Yahweh. That's actually a tougher one for me as well. That's to me an experiential one. Whose trust is Yahweh. So you've actually trusted him and he's come through. Right? So you can say, I trust him. I trust the Father. I trust Yahweh. Whose trust is Yahweh? Stepping on the water. Like I said, Father, you want me to go through that door. I don't see how it's possible. And I'm certain that that you want me to go through that door. Okay, here we go. Verse 8, for he shall be like a tree planted by the waters, which spreads out its roots by the river, and does not see when heat comes, and his leaf shall be green, and in the year of drought he is not anxious, nor does he cease from yielding fruit. You see that? You're this big flourishing tree that's producing fruit in a drought. Everything is dying and withering away. You're this big green tree producing fruit. The key is you gotta produce the fruit. You can be a green tree and be cursed because you're producing no fruit. That's also in the Torah portion, I believe. But you gotta produce the fruit. And people will notice that. People will notice that. Like, what's different with you? Well, I just follow the Father's instructions. I keep Shabbat. I do the best I can. I keep his feast. I do the best I can. And I'm growing in it. No, he says, do right ruling. Well, I try to do that according to what he wants. Verse 9, the heart is crooked above all and desperately sick. Who shall know it? So our hearts are just wicked, right? It's crooked. Who shall know it? I find that an interesting kind of question. Who shall know it? Right? It's not easy to see. It's not easy to see the crookedness in us. That's why we go and pray, Father, show me. I need your help. Show me what's wrong. Show me by your Spirit what needs to change. Show me in your Word. Like I keep reading this about XYZ. Why do I keep seeing this over and over and over and over? It's because he wants you to work on it. He wants you to shema in that area. He wants you to change in that area. I, Yahweh, search the heart. I try the kidneys and give every man according to his ways, according to the fruit of his deeds. So there we see. There's a lot there. Trusting in the Father. Watching out for our own crooked hearts. And be blessed when we walk in his ways, his instructions, so we can be this big fruitful tree for ourselves and for others. And for his glory and his esteem. It's like a threefold thing. Everybody wins with it. Everybody wins when you do it his way. Which is like, who would have thought? Everybody wins when you do it his way. Alright, we're going to Hosea real quick. You know, everybody loves the minor prophets. We know they have a big stick. Those minor prophets, like, I don't know why they call them minor prophets. They're the heavy hitters. It's like, wow. At least in my opinion, when I read those minor prophets, you're just like, okay, Hosea 10. We're just going to touch on something here. Hosea 10, sorry, we're going to touch on several verses. Hosea 10, verse 1. Israel is a degenerate vine. He brings forth fruit for himself. So I just like, when you think degenerate vine, it makes me think of Yeshua as the branch, we're the vines, or something, right? So you're connected, but you're degenerate. Right? It says, well, he brings forth fruit for himself. Well, you think you're just seeking out wretchedness, right? Because if you have the fruit of the Spirit, you have the joy, the love, the peace, patience. That is for you. That is for you to enjoy. As his fruit increased, he increased the slaughter places, and the better his land, the better they made the pillars. So they were growing, but they increased in idolatry and wickedness. Their heart has been slippery, now they are guilty. He breaks down their slaughter places, he destroys their pillars. For now they say, we have no sovereign, because they did not fear Yah. What would the sovereign do for us? They have spoken words, swearing falsely and making a covenant. Therefore judgment shall spring up like poisonous weeds in the furrows of the field. The inhabitants of Shomron fear because of the calf of Beth-Aven. So we got the calf, right? The calves are back. Can't get away from the golden calf. What was it? Jeroboam, or I can't remember, it was Jeroboam who set him up again too. For this people shall mourn for it, as well as its priests, who used to rejoice over it, because of its esteem that has departed from it. It's also brought to Asher as a present for sovereign Yereb. Ephraim does receive shame, and Israel is put to shame through his counsel. Shomron is cut off, her sovereign is like a twig on the surface of the water. And the high places of Aven, the sin of Israel, shall be destroyed. Thorn and thistle come up on their slaughter places, and they shall say to the mountains, cover us, and to the hills fall on us. O Israel, you have sinned from the days of Gibeah. There they stood. The battle in Gibeah against the children of perversity did not overtake them. When I desire, then I bind them, and people shall be gathered against them, when I bind them for their double guilt. And Ephraim is a trained heifer, loving to thresh grain, but I myself shall pass over her comely neck. I put Ephraim to the yoke, Yehuda plows, Jacob harrows for him. Sow for yourselves righteousness, reap according to loving commitment, break up your tillable ground. It is time to seek Yahweh till he comes and rains righteousness on you. That's the verse I really want to get to. I'll go to read 13. You have plowed wrongness, you have reaped unrighteousness, you have eaten the fruit of lying, because you trusted in your own way, in your many mighty men. Alright. So I went through all that to get to these last two verses, 12 and 13, context, but we're saying the same thing. Same thing. You have plowed wrongness, you have reaped unrighteousness, you have eaten the fruit of lying. So the fruit that you're talking in verse 1 is the fruit of lying. It's bad fruit. This isn't good fruit. Because you trusted in your own way. You trusted in your own way. You weren't following the Father's instructions, his commands. In your many mighty men too. So now they're looking at their own strength. Their own strength. What can we do in our own strength? Right? So that's where the Spirit comes in. So, go back to verse 12. Sow for yourselves righteousness. Do what's right in the Father's eyes. Sow righteousness. Plant in the ground righteousness. Right? You're putting a seed in the ground. Sow. Reap according to loving commitment. You're going to plant it in faith. You're planting it in faith. It's going to grow, right? It's going to grow, right? It's going to grow, Father, right? You're planting the seed in faith. According to loving, and reap according to loving commitment. You're going to reap according to his loving commitment. Break up your tillable ground. Sometimes this is fallow ground. Break up the ground to be tilled. Break it up so you can sow. It is time to seek Yahweh till he comes and rains righteousness on you. Till he comes and rains. He's going to bring the rain of righteousness so what you sowed will grow. So get the plant, get the fruit, but we got to till the ground. We got to till the ground. Plant righteousness. Walk in righteousness. All right. We can leave Hosea for now. Let's jump to Ezekiel. So I'm going to wrap it up here. And I do believe this will be the last of the prophets for a while. I think. Ezekiel 3. Ezekiel 3, starting verse 1. And he said to me, Son of man, eat what you find, eat the scroll, and go up to speak to the house of Israel. So he's told to eat the scroll. He's in his vision, I believe it is. And he said, eat the scroll. Eat these words. And I opened my mouth, and he fed me the scroll. And he said to me, Son of man, feed your stomach and fill your stomach with the scroll that I'm giving you. And I ate it, and it was sweet as honey in my mouth. So the words, they're good. They're good words. They're sweet. They're really sweet. They're good. And he said to me, Son of man, go to the house of Israel, and you shall speak to them with my words. So we know Ezekiel doesn't always say great things, right? He's a prophet. So how can those words be sweet? Because he's trying to get you turned. His father's trying to get you turned. So they're sweet. When you turn, it's sweet. It's good. His words are good. His message is good. Have we tilled the ground for those good words to be planted? For you are not sent to a people of foreign speech and of a difficult language, but to the house of Israel. Not to many people of foreign speech and of difficult language, whose words you do not understand. If I had rather sent you to them, they would have listened to you. But the house of Israel is going to refuse to listen to you, for they refuse to listen to me. For all the house of Israel are hard of head and hard of heart. See, I shall make your face as hard as their faces, and your forehead as hard as their foreheads. So he's telling him, I have this message for you, but by the way, they're not going to listen to a word you say. The question is, are we those people? Are we not going to hear a word they say? A prophetic message about repentance. Are we going to hear it? Heed it? Shema. I mean, assuming it's scripturally accurate, in line with scripture, all those things taken care of, right? He said, I'm not even spending you people with a different language. They're going to speak Hebrew, they're going to speak English, they're going to speak whatever, Spanish, whatever language the prophet is sent to. In this case, Hebrew, yeah, you're going to understand language. But if I would have sent you to Spain, whatever, they would have heeded. But these people won't. Isn't that bizarre? Like if they sent someone in here, I want to send you to Germany to go talk to those people. They're going to hear you. But by the way, you can go all over the U.S. They're not going to listen to a word you say. They're just not going to hear anything you say. Hard hearts. Are we tilling up the ground of our hearts? Are we tilling it up? Are we tilling it up? So these things can be planted and grown, right? The truths. All right, Ezekiel 11. I'm almost done. Ezekiel 11. Again, these are just high points. So, and the point of that is, in the context of discipleship, we can't have hard hearts, so we don't change. Hard hearts, hard heads. Don't be hard-headed. My mom used to tell me that. Don't be hard-headed. She still does, I think. But, hey. Sorry. There's got to be some benefit to it somewhere, right? Ezekiel 11:14. Then the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, your brothers, your relatives, your kinsmen, and all the house of Israel, all of it, are those about whom the inhabitants of Jerusalem said, Keep far from Yahweh. This land has been given to us as a possession. It's like all the people that you're close with, they're saying this stuff. Keep far from Yahweh. It's like, what? Therefore say, thus said the Master Yahweh, although I have sent them far off among the nations, and although I have scattered them among the lands, yet I was for them a set apart place for a little while in the lands to which they came. Therefore say, thus said the Master Yahweh, and I shall gather you from the peoples, and I shall assemble you from the lands where you have been scattered, and I shall give you the land of Israel. This is some good stuff. This is the return. He's going to bring his people back. And they shall go there, and they shall take away its disgusting matters and all its abominations from there. And I shall give them one heart, and put a new spirit within you, and I shall take a stony heart out of their flesh, and give them a heart of flesh, so that they walk in my laws and guard my right rulings, and shall do them. And they shall be my people, and I shall be their Elohim. But to those whose heart walk after the heart of their disgusting matters and their abominations, I shall recompense their deeds on their own heads, declares the Master Yahweh. Again, you got the nice contrast at the end. Verse 20 and 21. If they walk in my laws, guard my right rulings, and shall do them, the Shema part. Right, you can talk about it all day, but until you do it, until you Shema, right? So it comes down to, yeah, we may have the knowledge of right ruling. Are we doing the right ruling? And I think another way to say that, I think this is fair to say, to put it in like a modern tone, are we being fair to one another according to what Scripture says? And that's not always what you want, but are we doing what the Father wants, the right ruling? Are we being fair in His eyes toward one another? I know fair has a bad connotation. Oh, we treat fair. That's not the Father's right ruling. That's not the way He wants it. But those whose hearts walk after the heart of disgusting matters, I shall recompense their deeds on their own heads. It's going to come back to you. All right, last one. Ezekiel 36. Starting verse 19. Ezekiel 36, starting verse 19. And I scattered them among the nations, and they were dispersed throughout the lands. I have judged them according to their ways and their deeds. And when they came to the nations, wherever they went, they profaned my set apart name. For it was said of them, These are the people of Yahweh, yet they have gone out of His land. So it's like, yeah, He scattered them and profaned their ways. Still, sound familiar? Right? We're scattered. We used to profane His ways. And hopefully we still don't, right? As we grow in it. But I had compassion on my set apart name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the nations wherever they went. So now you really get that in. That's us. That's us. Of the northern tribe, largely dispersed, still around the world, waiting to be gathered. And if you keep reading through Ezekiel here, we're actually getting into that quote-unquote second Exodus, where the first one won't even be remembered. That's something to think about. We all want to be part of that one. But are we doing what we need to do to be part of that one? Because it says the unrighteous will not be allowed on that road. I don't know where that is off the top of my head, but it is in there. The righteous will not be able to walk on that road. And I'm not saying you have to be perfect. Don't take it that way. We're growing. We're growing. Verse 22. Therefore say to the house of Israel, thus said the Master Yahweh, I do not do this for your sake, O house of Israel, but for my set apart name's sake, which you have profaned among the nations wherever you went. So it's not because of you, really, or us, or me. It's for His name's sake. It's for His character. Because He's lovingly committed to His people. Probably even to the point that He shouldn't be. So are we committed to people at times when we maybe don't want to be or shouldn't be? If we want to have the character of Messiah, the character we talked about right here, and I shall set my great name which has been profaned among the nations, which you have profaned in their midst. And the nations shall know that I am Yahweh, declares the Master Yahweh, when I am set apart in you before their eyes. And I shall take you from among the nations, and I shall gather you out of all the lands, and I shall bring you into your own land. He's going to bring us back. It's a wonderful thing. He's going to do it. And I shall sprinkle clean water on you, and I shall be clean. From all your filthiness and from all your idols I cleanse you. And I shall give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. And I shall take the heart of stone out of your flesh, and I shall give you a heart of flesh. And put my spirit within you, and I shall cause you to walk in my laws and guard my right rulings, and shall do them. And you shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, and you shall be my people, and I shall be your Elohim. And I shall save you from all your uncleannesses, and I shall call for the grain and increase it, and I shall bring no scarcity of food upon you. So you can see, like, the blessing that He's going to pour out on people. So it says He's not doing it because we're doing exceedingly well, but He's called people. It's for His name's sake. For His character's sake. He's going to bring people back. He's also looking for people that are going to obey Him. But He's going to ultimately put that heart of us in us to obey, to do His commands. But that's what it's really getting at here. To walk in my laws and guard my right rulings, and shall do them. You notice each time it says, and shall do them. Getting to the Shema idea, and do them. It's just repeated over and over, the Shema idea. The question is, are we there? Are we there? We're not there. We'll never be there, right? Or are we growing towards that goal? Are we moving towards that goal? Are we day in, day out being disciples? Some seasons will be more productive than others. Some seasons we feel like I'll go backwards. Right? I'm not trying to set a high bar here. But I'm saying He's given us everything we need. Plus some. And He wants us to grow into it. Now, my hope is if you see sin in me, you'll say, hey, I think you need to work on that. And vice versa. If I see something in you that's not fruitful, maybe I'll be like, hey, so-and-so, have you considered this? And then what you do is that you sit on it. Father, is that right? I'm really hurt by it. Or is that just my emotions? Or sometimes it's like, yep, that's right. You nailed that one. I need to change that. Right? You know it. And then sometimes you just need someone to tell you. You need that second witness. Or you need someone else saying, hey, all right. So I will stop there. Any questions or comments or thoughts?
The reason they're called minor prophets is strictly because of the length of the record of their prophecy. Traditionally, they were all stored on one scroll, which was actually smaller than Yeshayahu.
Okay.
And so that's where the tradition of calling them minor prophets came from.
Okay. So it's actually a scroll length.
Yeah. Had nothing to do with the importance or the magnitude or anything like that.
Right. But I often think, maybe it's my false thinking, it's like, oh, it's just a few pages here. They're nothing. It's in the fire. Other questions, comments, thoughts? Anything? That's a tough one, I understand. It's a tough one. And but I think to grow you have to go through, you gotta identify the difficult things to grow. And if we don't talk about them, then we can't grow the way we need to. So, anyways, I will leave it at that.